listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
There are so many sports on right now. It's fantastic. It's a good way to kind of wash off the stink of the Liberty Bowl. We've got Monday Night Football. Big 12 basketball started. 3 of the games are already over. One of them is underway. Iowa State at Colorado. Am I right on that? I can't remember. But yes, that is correct. And it's a 4-point game in the second half. So it's a night. This is a good night for sports. How are you, man?
I'm willing to confess, Michael, that I had no idea Big 12 basketball is starting tonight, which makes sense because it's Monday, and typically conference games Monday, Tuesday, Saturday. So it starts this week. Sorry, I didn't know. I've been looking at football. Was watching part of the Monday night game. That was entertaining. I've been watching a lot of bowl games, and not live. Usually like recaps or highlights or replays. I was unfortunate enough to be out to dinner and I sat down and the TV in front of me. Not that I chose this spot or this TV or this channel, but was the Liberty Bowl replay. I was like,
turn it off. We've seen this one. We know what happens.
Give me something live.
We've seen this one before. Do it live. Dig out that Missouri, Iowa thing, if you can find it.
Yeah, this wasn't. It was. This was Saturday night. It was like he was even fresh. I was like, oh, this crap out of my face.
That is. There was a lot of things on Saturday night they could have had.
They had another
a replay. Maybe there was just some Arkansas fan there who just could not resist.
Who else was playing Saturday night? Because like there was a
the
game
NFL?
live. Yeah, that game was on. Wasn't Houston, Baltimore? That was Christmas.
Oh, it was BYU, Colorado, which was probably a blowout by then.
That's one of the games I was interested in, and then I saw the score, and I was like, I was late to the party. It's like, that's actually not interesting to me anymore. Not that I wanted Colorado to win. I didn't. But by the time I turned it on, it was like 27-0. I was like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I started at the beginning, and then I started to feign interest or lose interest. Feign means I faked it, which isn't really true. But yeah, I was the opposite. I thought, oh man, ground zero, Alamo Bowl. Such a cool matchup. Let's go. And then BYU just dominated from the get-go. And then I thought, okay, well, it's halftime. That one's over. Thanks for coming out, Colorado.
We'll talk about the Big 12 slate of bowls here in a minute once we get through, I guess, our game. Just some final shots, parting thoughts, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll do basketball preview because that's where we're at. We're in basketball season. Well, Texas Tech is in basketball season. There's obviously still meaningful college football games to be played, namely college football playoff. The semifinals start tomorrow. And we get semis or quarters?
I think it's quarters.
Quarters. Well, I messed up on the YouTube title. Oh well. I can change that real quick.
I think it's quarters, and because there's still 4 games.
Quarterfinals. Save. There. No, see? Was never a problem. Always correct.
No one knew. Always correct. That's you.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk Arkansas football, Liberty Bowl real quick.
If we must. I really don't have a lot to add. I just thought
just a couple of things.
Yeah, this is our place to add things. if we so choose.
Well, you dropped in the net success rate.
Yeah, how about that?
Texas Tech had
I kind of didn't
a.
expect that.
I didn't
Sorry, go
either.
ahead.
I was looking at I was looking to the right side of the chart looking for Arkansas. I was like, where are they? Texas Tech actually had the advantage there in the net success rate over Arkansas. Um, that was surprising to me.
Well, and naturally on this tweet there was I think a Texas fan who was a automatic hater of anything A&M and OU, and that was the first thing he pointed out was that they had positive net success rates too, which OU completely surprises me. But they did start out early. I think they led by 2 scores early,
14. Mm-hmm. I
and
watched part of that
so
game.
I guess that makes sense. I th- the A&M USC game, that was another game they could have put on because it came on at 9 or whenever that was.
Oh, we were home in bed by then.
Oh no, you know what? That was Friday night. That was after Tech's game. I think it came
Oh
on at
yeah, that's
9
right.
or
Yeah,
9:30,
it was right after us.
and I think it was
Close.
close. Yeah, but I'm not really sure. Anyway, I was surprised that A&M and well, a lot of losses here. West Virginia was on the positive end of it. So was OU. So was Miami. So was A&M, and so
And
was your
Miami
Texas Tech Red Raiders.
big. I want to talk about that game in a minute, but also a game that was not close on the scoreboard, but close in the net success rate. Army over Louisiana Tech. It was not even. It was.
I don't even see that one.
So if you go like, you see North Carolina and UConn, it's right next to it. Or 2 down from
Oh
Penn State.
gosh, yeah. I need to zoom in.
It's like right there in the middle. uh, Colorado State and whoever they played. Anyways, so that was interesting. You went through the post game. I did not. So when I saw that you had made the note that Don Williams asked my question, I was like, huh.
Yeah, I'll see if I can. Okay, so
I really
Spencer
I want to see what I want to see how he asked it, and then like obviously what the response was.
not so well, very snarkily asked Don Williams and
This was
and added.
during the game. This was during the game, by the way.
This was at 8:51 p.m. on Friday. Spencer
Moments after.
added him and said, "Hey, instead of asking about injuries in the post game, ask McGuire if Jordan Brown is forcing him to rethink his policy of allowing guys in the transfer portal to play in the bowl game." And then you immediately followed up with, could also ask why he was replaced on punt return, but then came back on the field on offense. So, okay, to be fair, Don didn't ask that second one to that extent, but what he did do, and of course he was last. So if you fast forward maybe 10 minutes or 12 or something like that into the press conference, you'll hear him. He has 3 questions. I can't remember the third one, but the first one was basically, what were your thoughts on how those kicks were fielded, and you know what kind of outcomes they had on the game? And of course, McGuire was, well, you teach your returners to put your heels on a certain yard line if it goes back over your head. Just anything you expected him to say. And he said the first one really didn't hurt us, but the second one obviously led to a safety. So he just kind of said facts, which that's about all you'd expect. But then he did ask, he followed up, does this affect your stance on players in the portal playing in the bowl game? And I'm
Asking it
paraphrasing.
that
I'm
way.
paraphrasing everyone right
Okay.
now. I'm because I listened to this right before we went live, and I didn't like take notes or anything. I
Oh
should have.
man.
But he said McGuire responded to that with no. Basically, it's like, nope. They've been here. If they want to play, they can play. He has no issues with it. So Williams asked. He kind of covered most of your bases there. He got off his couch
He was there.
because you tweeted off your couch and went and asked some good questions. And he asked a third. Like I said, I don't remember what the third was because I was just so excited that these are the first 2. Oh, it was quarterback competition. I kind of zoned out for that because I think that's a moot question.
I hate that starting that has me reconsidering my stance on Don because he asked one question, but it was my it wasn't just my question. Let's be honest. Like I wasn't even the first person that brought that up.
It was a great question. I mean,
It
it
probably
was
wasn't the only person that even tagged him or added him.
yeah. Both of those questions were questions that fans all over social media, not just you, were asking just in general. So he addressed them head on.
I just
Didn't even mention injuries, Spencer. You'd be so proud.
yeah, I could understand if there was some nuance to the in the portal, but could still participate in a bowl game if they were committed to a new team. Like maybe
Oh, yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
there's a line there. Like okay, now you found a new home. Like yes, you were part of the team that got us here, but like obviously your commitments, your vision is elsewhere.
Yeah, you
Best of luck
committed
to
on the
you.
you committed on the flight over here, bro. I mean, what are we supposed to do about this? Or during the 12 days of Christmas we were singing as a team for our dinner last night.
You're in the
You
corner on the
committed to
phone with
Nevada.
Nevada Wolfpack Club or whoever
Yeah,
their NIL collective is.
because I think it was the 26th was when it was. That was when I saw it on Twitter first. So it may not have been on the flight because I'm sure they flew in like Tuesday. But anyway, it just I'm with you. I try to be lenient, and these are young men making the best decisions for them, or sometimes they're not the best decisions for them, but they have to make them anyway to learn that, and they may learn it the hard way.
yeah.
But that's fine. That's
I
up to them. But it's that I think I'm going to be old man yelling at cloud for that. If you've committed to another school, that's it. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for making the trip. Even cheer your teammates on the sideline. But
I thought was cool. Guys that made
that's
the
that.
trip,
Who?
Michael Dever and Leighton Stone. Those are
Yeah.
guys that signed in the high school class, had their jerseys and uniforms, but obviously couldn't participate. I don't think they could participate, but they were like on the field participated. I don't know. I don't know how the eligibility works. I'm sure compliance is all over it, and probably they're like, hey, like maybe not put them in like a named uniform on the sideline and get them on the
Yeah.
camera, or whatever.
They're not on the roster
Um,
or something.
but no, like it was confirmed by local media, but like they had shots of those Lubbock local kids that made the trip with their uniform and had their names on it and everything. Were not participating, but were included in on
Mm-hmm.
field huddles and stuff, which I think is great. On the flip side, man, if you're moving on, move on. I think um I don't know. I have a hard time convincing myself Brown tanked that on purpose.
Oh gosh, no.
I think the first one was the first punt that he could have and probably should have fielded and then didn't, got in his head for the second one, and probably lost track of exactly where he was, but then knew that like I don't want that to happen again. And they're like, oh, look, that was the goal line I just stepped over. So
I know. I kind of feel bad.
softened my stance on that one.
Yeah. Well, I have too, and well, I don't really think I tried to convey during the instant reaction. It really didn't bother me that much because Tech didn't lose by 2. Tech. There are a
No,
lot
it
of other
was,
things that well, not a lot of other things really. 3 or 4 plays went wrong. So
but it was one.
that
It
was
was
all
like,
it took.
in the time like where everybody was frustrated and
Yeah.
like it wasn't like we're down and out of it. Like we were the game was slipping away. Everyone was just like, this is not how this was supposed to go. Every little thing that went bad was a disaster. And so like these things were just like, what are we doing? And then it
We
was
were in the
easy
denial stage of
target,
grief.
easy target for, unfortunately for Brown, since he was in the portal, committed to another team. So
I mean, if you're going to commit to another team, and maybe I think I could live with this. If it comes out after you played, okay, just tell
even that night,
everybody to shut up and
yeah,
don't send tweets, don't make a graphic, don't do anything. Yes, I will come play for your team, but at least let the game go final, or wait till the next day. Something.
8 a.m. fired off, like
Sure.
like have it like could be 20 minutes after. Like, no, I don't know. I probably would be a little
Yeah, I'd be a little
ridiculous.
bit.
Like
I think I'd be a little miffed on
immediately post game. Oh, now he commits.
that. Yeah.
What
What changed his mind?
Probably next day would be fine.
Yeah, I think we'd still find an issue with it, though. To be honest, we'd come
well,
up with
because
something.
we
If
would
someone does that and then the next day they transfer, you're like, well, why'd you even go to the bowl?
it would have been the same thing. We
Yep.
would have assumed or known that like he was committed the whole time.
Oh yeah, just what his head wasn't even in it.
Yeah, he was trying to be sneaky. He announced it after
Yeah.
the game.
Pull one over us. I wasn't born yesterday.
Yeah. So, before we look around the rest of the Big 12 bowl games, Michael, do you care? Like, one, I'm sure you've seen the clips of the offensive lineman stepping on Baskerville's ankle.
Yes.
Do you have a stance on that? Do you think it was intentional, incidental, part of the game, malicious? Let's start there. Like, did you see it?
I saw it. I
did not see it
100% think it was. No, I did not notice it live. I didn't notice it live. I've seen that same clip that's been on Twitter the last 3 days, but I 100% believe it was intentional. There is no way that you move your foot like that and you grinding your feet into Eddie's couch. You're grinding into Baskerville's ankle, and I don't think that it's.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
That Charlie Murphy skit.
Well, that was what I was quoting.
F yo couch.
That's what I was quoting.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, I remember grinding my feet into Eddie's couch.
I thought you were talking about Christmas Vacation for some reason. I don't know, man.
Oh no, Eddie Murphy, because it was Eddie Murphy's couch.
Sorry, go on. So many.
The best thing is, I think Rick James sets that up by saying, "No, I never did anything like that," and then he immediately follows it up with, "Yes, I remember grinding my feet into Eddie's couch."
I just took a drink.
I know. I was hoping I'd time that right.
Almost want to drop the audio into this, but I shouldn't. I really shouldn't.
So, okay, my thoughts are: yes, it was intentional. It's borderline malicious, because if you catch someone's ankle just wrong and you're 275 pounds stepping on it, that could at least end the game for someone. I mean, I don't know. I would say it's borderline malicious. But if Arkansas wants to look at it like it's sour grapes from Tech fans, that's fine. They just can't argue that this is acceptable or something that they wouldn't react strongly to if the same thing happened to them.
So before we get into all like the professionals and personalities and bigwigs, people with platforms that were retweeting this and like throwing shade at this lineman, wherever you saw it posted, if you look down through the comments and you saw people say, grow up, it's part of the game, football is a manly sport, before you even click on their profile, dig a little bit deeper, I could tell you roughly where they live, what school affiliation they have or conference affiliation they have. And I could also tell you that individuals with that mindset are marketers' wet dream. They have nothing, no effort to sell them something. It's easy.
It's already
Just
sold.
just slap a color on it. It doesn't have to be a logo, a color.
They're marks.
That yellow, the SEC yellow, give it to me. Give it.
Anything with the word hog in it.
It didn't even have to, like, it weren't even just Arkansas fans that were caping up and protecting this guy.
Oh, it was. So was it being framed as if, well, the Big
One
12 doesn't even
person-
know what real football is?
One person said, no, he was using his leg to push. There was another defender there standing next to Basketball who's on the ground. And he said he was kind of like using his leg to kind of push him off and then
No.
missed. And then, oh, he just missed and stepped on the guy down there. There were people like, it's a man's sport. It happens. Contact happens. You're wearing spikes on shoes. You expect to get stepped on sometime. Well, what it was an offensive lineman stepping on the side of a defensive back's ankle who was in a pile. This was late in the game, too. Sorry. Not right now, buddy.
Yeah.
Yep, we have a...
Hey, I didn't have the
Good.
video up very high, so
Good
I
night,
don't know
Hayden.
which was it. Oh, it was your youngest boy.
Yeah. He's like, I need to give you a hug. Like, we did that already.
Aw.
It's one of his tactics to get out and stay
Tactics.
out of bed.
Oh yes,
He's
I
at
know them
that
well.
age.
Yeah.
Oh, but I didn't say goodnight. Yes, we did. We had a very
Yeah.
lengthy.
I need
bedtime.
some water. Mm-hmm.
No,
Sure you do.
you don't
You
drink
have
after 8.
7. You have 7 bottles of water at the side of your different vessels. You're like that girl from Signs.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need more water. I don't care if it has its amoebas in it.
This one's dusty. Anyways, what did you think about all of the names, the personalities coming up and like resharing it and saying like this has got to be handled. Like you got to deal with this. Like Emmanuel Acho. I've been retweeting every single one just because it's been just fascinating for me. Let me go back and see who all.
There's a
said
lineman
something.
I follow. There's a lineman I follow, and I can't remember his name to save my life.
Johnny Midnight, Gordon G. Le'Veon Bell said something. Footballism. Warren Sharp. Emmanuel Acho. DeMarvion Overshone. Just to name a few.
I thought it was. I thought it warranted some negative coverage. I do think everyone just kind of got a little bit on their high horse to an extent, calling for him to never play football again and stuff like that. I don't.
That's probably a bit harsh, sure.
That's a little much. He made an apology that someone pointed out looked like it was written by AI. That's fine, but what do you expect? That's about the most you're going to get in December for some sort of egregious thing that happened at the end of a bowl game that the team won by 2 touchdowns. So I thought it was interesting. It just kind of became popular to, no pun intended, hop on this kid and kind of talk about how he's not playing the right way. Which hey, it was a mistake. It was a bad play. He apologized for it. Luckily, Baskerville wasn't hurt, and hopefully we've moved on. But I don't know what are your
I haven't
thoughts
moved on
all
yet.
that?
No, so I'm just going to read his apology. So he's a transfer in from San Jose State.
Quentin?
Nice. I'd like to apologize for my actions last Friday night in the Liberty Bowl. I let my emotions get away from me. I have nothing but respect for Texas Tech in the game of football. I apologize to my team and coaches. I'm not that kind of player, and we'll learn from this.
What more or less did anyone expect? That sounds pretty textbook.
I love
That's
the
what I would say if I stepped on my coworker's ankle.
the video of him and the Ole Miss game from the not Ole Miss problems when he he's like wrapped up somebody's arm and like alligator rolls over it. It's like arm bars him and then rolls over it. And it's like, yeah, man, this isn't the first time you're trying to do something. Mr. Root, are you going to apologize to the player whose ankle you stepped on? Jody, the Lubbockist. It's almost like I'm. It's almost as if this was about you and not about senior basketball. Maybe apologize to him instead of the team. Not that kind of player, in quotes, with that Ole Miss video and says GFY. Yeah. Anyways, I also loved that they tried to come back and say that basketball had a dirty game too, and the two clips they showed was him knocking guys out of bounds. It's
making
like
a football play.
there were one of the responses we talked like, so it was responding to, look at the dirty plays that basketball made in the game, and somebody said, are the dirty plays in the room with us right now? That was great. So screw this guy and his fake apology. He only said that because like he got ratioed. Everybody piled on against him, and he had to say something.
What was okay? Hang on, I'm trying to go back to the wording. What did he? Oh, okay. The guy I saw, Jeff Schwartz, who was a former lineman, he retweeted it. What did he say? I would like to apologize. Did he say? Did he use that?
The player, yeah, I'd like to apologize for my actions.
Okay,
That's how he started off.
See,
he didn't even apologize. He said
that's not
like
apologizing. So someday he'll get around to it, guys. He's got it on his to-do list. He's a busy man. I mean, the off season's a busy time. Probably back at the transfer portal, going to try to get on it somewhere else. Just never know. You've got to move. You got to pack. Got to check and see if you pass that final that someone helped you take. So he's got a lot. He's got a lot on his plate. So he'll get around to apologizing.
Yeah,
man, that is a really big pet peeve of mine. I would like to apologize. Well, then do it. You have the platform. We're waiting. We're ready. If you'd like to apologize, no one's stopping you.
Then do it.
And then they proceed not to do that. So, okay. I take it back. I'm a little miffed now.
All right. That's probably way too much on this guy. West Virginia lost by 5 to Memphis. We talk about this one? The line was 5 points.
Just a little bit because I think yes, because we recorded the following Monday.
Yeah.
But just in passing, it was, Garrett Green announced he's transferring, and round 2 of their former head coach, he was in the booth but not on the sideline, and all that kind of stuff. I think Memphis jumped out to a good lead. And then
they did.
It looked like it was
over.
Virginia got it back.
Yeah. And then I know this was a game, the other game that had happened before ours that we probably mentioned, Kansas State winning versus Rutgers in the Rate Bowl 44-41.
Another one where Kansas State, or where Rutgers, I should say, jumped out to a pretty decent lead, and Kansas State just took over, stole it away.
Well, okay, let's do the other game on this list where that happened. Miami versus Iowa State. Well, I say that.
Okay.
I think this game actually went back and forth for a while. Miami got a little bit of a lead. Okay, so first half, oh my gosh, super entertaining, back and forth. That Miami offense, I don't know if you watched it or just highlights of it. The highlight version of their offense is fantastic.
Yes.
It's not like, oh, they ran for 5 yards, or their highlights are they hit a slant for 7 that went for 15. No, it was like huge chunk plays. Their running back, Damien Martinez, holy crap, dude. Like, he does not go down. He is like a um like this is just an easy comp here, but like, okay, Taj Brooks, but like even more difficult to bring down. Like, he was carrying dudes. Brooks would like, he would bounce off of guys. Martinez would carry people. And you would think he'd be some kind of bruiser back. He was fast too. He took one to the house. There was one, like, he was going with like, he had an escort, and I don't know if he was pointing at his teammate or the defensive back that they just dusted, but like, he was pointing back at him. That was fun. Interesting thing in this game.
I celebrated everything about the Pop-Tart Bowl. It was great. I watched quite a bit of that game. Ironically, mostly the second half, and it was kind of on mute. And obviously, I don't follow Miami football, so I had no idea that there was a quarterback switch at halftime, and I just was still really enjoying the game. Just it was good, entertaining football. Oh, looks like we've lost Spencer. He's back now.
I'm back.
I lost you for a second there, bud.
It said like I had a connection issue. That's fun.
Well, you're back. You didn't miss much except for me just talking about how I had the game on mute, so I had no idea that there was a quarterback change at halftime, because that was most of what I watched was the second half.
Yeah, I didn't. What got me interested in this game, because I was going through recaps and headlines and highlight packages of games I'd missed, was about the Cam Ward second half opt out. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, so I turned on, I think it was the Josh Pate show, his little podcast he does. And he was talking about, he was framed up as it was a second half opt out. I don't know, like, where that's at. If it was an actual opt out, or if like they just planned on, hey, he'll just play the first half. Like, we want this game to be close. We're gonna have him play half, and then we're just gonna, live with it. If there was some kind of minor injury and it was like, oh nope, I'm not testing this, not pushing my luck any further. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Cam Ward plays the first half. Super fun in that first half with him at the lead. They scored 31 points. They put up 360 yards of offense, 15 first downs, were 6 of 8 on third down, 9.4 yards per play. Second half, they put up 10 points, 26 passing yards, 140 rush yards, 9 first downs, 1 of 6 on third downs, and 4.9 yards per play. So obviously, backup doesn't even come close to touching what Cam Ward was doing. And there were times like, Michael, like, there was a play he made. He escaped pressure. And it ended up like he had so much time in the pocket, he actually stopped moving. Like, you ever seen a quarterback stop moving his feet? You're just like, oh my God, he's about to get killed. But like, you look around, like, there was nobody there. Like, he wouldn't even like bouncing his shoulders or nothing. He was just like stood there waiting for his guy to go. Like, he was looking at him, waiting for him to clear a defender, and just I've never seen him. This is probably the most Cam Ward football I've ever seen. And it was fascinating.
And it was only a half.
It was only a half. I'm actually a little sad I didn't get to watch more, or I didn't watch more Miami football this year for a 10-win team. Iowa State does come back to win this one. After all that, this is very much a BYU Colorado thing right now.
Yeah.
Iowa State on the back of Rocco Becht and Jalen Knoll and Carson Hansen. To Carson Hansen? They're running
I
back
don't
number
know.
26. Especially in the second half, man. They just kept punching back. Took the lead under a minute to go in the fourth quarter to go 42-41. You know, it was an entertaining game to follow through the highlights. I did not invest 3.5 hours to watch this game. Yeah, that was fun. Iowa State wins that one. BYU, Colorado, Alamo Bowl. Kind of referenced it just a second ago with the Iowa State, Miami stuff. I hate how the main story of this game was Deion Sanders coaching his two sons for the final time, and Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter playing in a game they didn't have to play in. And what a fantastic season they had. What the story of the game was that BYU absolutely rode them up and down the field. 27-0 before Colorado even did a thing. And this was like, they had forced several turnovers. They were intercepting Retzlaff left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Still couldn't do anything with it. It was 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Travis Hunter finally breaks free and gets on the board, which I think was one of the headlines of the day. Colorado finally gets on the board. It's like, it's 27-6. Like, BYU had they had forced turnovers. They made, I mean, Shedeur Sanders is like, if you have no investment in like whatsoever, like he didn't play against you, he's not your team, you're not a fan of Sanders at all. Like, there are some times you can look at it like he's kind of exciting, like fun to watch. But he does so much dumb stuff. You're like, man, like I don't know how much of it is my bias against him, his family, and the program now. Is like, that's not a professional football player. You can't be sacked for like lose 30 yards because you're trying to escape a defensive tackle and then end up not winning that foot race against a 300-pound defensive tackle.
And not getting rid of the ball, not even getting out of the tackle box.
He didn't get out of the and then one of those times,
I don't even
like,
think he was just straight back.
It was like going into halftime, like lost 25 whatever yards it was, took him out of field goal range.
Mm-hmm. I remember that one. Yeah. I think they had negative rushing yardage because of
and that
sacks.
was
they just don't run the ball. Period.
They don't run the ball. This was a stat I saw that BYU's first carry from scrimmage, LJ Martin went for 6 yards. That one run for BYU eclipsed all of the rushing yards that Colorado amassed throughout the entire game. Granted, they had like -30 or whatever from Sanders, but they finished the game with 2 positive rushing yards. They had a net of 2.
Well, BYU, they were playing behind. They were playing behind, Spencer. They had to abandon the run. They were going to get.
Well, they never ran the ball, so
no, I know.
That was fun. I would have loved if the game was a little closer. But I also like watching the highlights of this game. Very much enjoyed watching just all of the Sanders nonsense, taking bad sacks, grounding penalties, throwing interceptions. Even the one that he threw, I think it was to Horn, where the receiver got absolutely blown up, and then he ended up tipping the ball up, and the defender caught it. Much like when Mahomes threw the interception in Austin, but Devin Lauderdale just obliterated the defensive back that intercepted it, and the ball fell down to Jakeem Grant. It was like that, but in reverse. Like the pass made it to the receiver, but then he got destroyed by the defensive back, dropped the ball into another defensive back's hands. So, like, that wasn't an interception that was on Shedeur Sanders, but I enjoyed watching that and having that. Like, yep.
Yeah, you're not biased at all.
Interceptions count the same against you, brother.
No bias here.
I didn't say I was unbiased. I told you.
Well, you mentioned earlier you talked about.
October.
Well, I don't know if it's my bias against his family or himself or his school or his. You like brought up 3 things. I'm like, I think that tells the story. I think it is.
Yeah.
One thing I did really appreciate was a lot was talked about. And this is terrible. BYU's coach. Do you remember
Sataki?
Yes, Sataki. Thank you. So he and Sanders are apparently pretty good buds, and
apparently
that got
Sanders
brought
is
up.
friends with everybody.
Well, sure, but this seemed pretty genuine from both sides, and I like to see that. There was some good sportsmanship there by Sanders at the end of the game during his press conference, and I mean, Colorado, the second he got there, got 100 times more interesting. It's still interesting. I think it's going to wane a little bit with his sons not on the team, if he's still there. Obviously, I mean, wherever Dion goes is where the spotlight goes to. But it's been a love-hate thing with me. I think I've mostly loved it this year. It's just been incredible to see from afar how this program, its perception has transformed. The amount of TV coverage they get, the prime times, no pun intended, television channels and slots they get. I think I read this from the guys that we talked to, or that I listened to, that the Gauchos talked to. Sorry, Folsom Frenzy. I think they pointed out that every single Colorado game was a national broadcast this year, except for maybe the bowl game. I guess you count ESPN as a national broadcast by this point, but either way, I mean, they never played on ESPN Plus. They never played on FS1. They never played on ESPNU. So it's just fascinating to me. But yeah, I thought I underestimated BYU. Colorado played worse than I thought they would, but not a whole lot worse, because I'd seen that team, especially early on in the season, play like that, especially defensively. But BYU they looked legit, and there was a little bit of playoff buzz after that game, as there kind of should have been, because I feel like they've been left out of the discussion this whole time. 9-3 Alabama's in there, but BYU, a team that lost 2 random games at the end of a 9-0 run, gets 0 love. So I think that was probably part of their tackling fuel, you could say, to pour it on like they did in the Alamo Bowl. But man, they really impressed me. They looked really good. So that was fun. That was a fun game to watch for about a quarter and a half, and then you're just kind of, okay, I see where this one's going to go. I think I'll read my book.
Sorry, I was scrolling through some of the Colorado Twitter stuff. Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter made the tackle of the year on this play, and it was L.J. Martin dragging him into the end zone for 5 yards. Oh, yeah, 5 yards. It didn't even touch the ground. He was thrown down a few steps after he had secured the touchdown. Like, he was in, they'd called it, and then got one final push. It wasn't one from Hunter. Two more two more Big 12 bowls tomorrow. Baylor, LSU in the Texas Bowl, 2:30. Baylor's a slight favorite. This one could be interesting. And then Arizona State Wednesday at noon, Peach Bowl versus Texas. Arizona State a sizable underdog in a quarterfinal matchup. Okay. Let's got any thoughts on the CFP bracket, Michael? Or here. We've already talked about it. Where are you at? You may have frozen right when you said something, so.
No, I've been talking this whole time. I was on mute there for a while.
What?
Sorry. I had a different window on. I was just saying, yeah, we can move past the playoff bracket.
Basketball. Let's tip it off with the Lady Raiders, Michael.
Okay. So Lady Raiders, nothing to report really. They have not played since December 22nd, where they took down Houston in their Big 12 opener. So they still stand at 12-2 overall, 1-0 in Big 12 play. But they have some pretty tough games ahead. Now, Wednesday, January 1st, will be their next game against Arizona State. And that will be there in Tempe. And so Arizona State is 5-7 right now. They're 0-1. They've already lost their first Big 12 game. So you don't want to count chickens before they hatch, but the Red Raiders or the Lady Raiders have not had a lot of success away from Lubbock this year. Their one true road game was a loss at SMU. So, and SMU had a record about like this, and you just never know what you're going to encounter on the road. So anyway, don't want to just assume that'll be a win, but first road game, Wednesday, January 1st. And then the three after that, Spencer, like I said, not discounting Arizona State, but you just look on the surface. They play 13-1 Kansas State at Kansas State. Then they come home January 8th and host 10-2 West Virginia. And then they get back on the, or no, they stay at home and host on the 11th 13-1 TCU. So they've got boom, 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 13-1, 10-2, 13-1 that they play. So it's going to be a pretty tough sled for the Lady Raiders as they just barely get back into Big 12 play after taking a couple weeks off.
It's a tough slate. Men have it tough too.
Yes, they do.
You had mentioned Big 12 games have started. I'll do that real quick before we get to the men's. Texas Tech Red Raider team. Kansas State took down 16th ranked Cincinnati 70-67. It's a ranked Cincinnati team. 14th ranked Houston victorious over Oklahoma State 60-47. Arizona takes down TCU 90-81. And then road top 5 program, Iowa State number 3 in Boulder wins 79-69.
Yeah, and that one, I think, like we talked about earlier, I know we weren't able to follow it because we were recording this podcast, but Iowa State went into halftime with a 6-point lead, but Colorado just couldn't quite close that gap. But I know that game was within 4 at one point. I'm sure it was. Let me see. Yeah, Colorado actually led at one point. They led by 5.
Wow.
And Iowa State's biggest lead was 12. So it went back and forth apparently. But it was man, I didn't get to watch that one, like I said, but the atmosphere at Kansas State, and that's just another team that's really underperformed. They were 6-5 before tonight, but they took down a 10-1 Cincinnati team. Now, granted, that was at home, but they took care of business. That's where I've got my tonight. I have Bonesaw is ready as my little logo thing on the YouTube feed, and that's just a callback to Spider-Man, where Bonesaw is played by Macho Man Randy Savage, and it just feels like that's the kind of personality you have to take on every night in the Big 12. If you're going to enter that ring and it's going to be tough, you're going to go to Manhattan and play a team that's barely over 500 and you're ranked 17th, so what? You're going to lose. That's type of stuff's going to happen. And, going to Arizona. Arizona's unranked. They're probably disappointed their fans so far. They're 6-5 going into tonight, but you couldn't tell it when you turn that TV on and you see that insane crowd and everybody just filled to the rafters watching the Wildcats. And they delivered, winning 90-81 versus a TCU team 7-4, still not quite figured out who they are yet either, but it's going to be so tough, man. It's so fun. I've just really it's been one night and I've really enjoyed it, man. I was flipping back and forth between channels and trying to watch everything I could before we recorded.
Yeah. Well, you got 5 teams in the top 25. Iowa State at 3, Kansas 7, Houston 14, Cincinnati 16, Baylor 25, and then 3 more receiving votes, including Texas Tech, but West Virginia, Arizona State, then Texas Tech. Red Raiders' next game is tomorrow night, Tuesday night, New Year's Eve versus UCF. Both squads are 9-2, so it'll be a 1 p.m. tip over on ESPN Plus. This is UCF's first true road game of the season. Texas Tech has not had it either, also not had a road game yet. So we've had a few neutral site close to, alumni and fan base headquarters, but not, on campus, whatever. Common opponent is Texas A&M, and they did defeat Texas A&M 64-61. They've got a couple of guys, 3 guys, averaging between 14 and 16 points per game, and they have a huge big man, former 5-star, 7'2" Mustafa TM, 8 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks.
Yeah, that 3 blocks is, I think it's top 1 or 2 in the Big 12, and I'm sure it's probably top 10 in the country. I feel like when you're averaging 3 blocks a game, that's when you start getting into that top 10 pretty quickly, and makes sense.
Yeah.
7'2", you're probably swatting some stuff into the stands here and there,
or at least very much redirecting a lot of
yes,
drives.
Redirecting.
I don't mean
nice way to put it.
I don't mean like swatting balls away. I mean like,
sir, let me redirect you to the baseline.
Turning guys away, like otherwise would be driving the lane. You're like, oh, there's a Victor Wembanyama in front. I'm not going to do that.
Let me redirect this ball into this lady's giant
bucket
bag
of
of popcorn.
They, UCF, if you want to look at Haslam metrics, are 91st, but they've been scoring. I mean, their numbers look a lot like yours.
They do.
They score just 82.5 points per game. You're scoring 86.3 points per game. Teams are scoring 66.8 points per game against UCF. Teams are scoring 63 against you. Your offensive shooting is better than theirs. Your defensive field goal percentage against is better than theirs. So you're shooting almost 52% from the field while giving up 39.5. UCF is shooting 43 while giving up 42%. You shoot better from 3, 40%, allowing teams to shoot 34%, while UCF is shooting 34%. Like what you allow teams to shoot is what UCF shoots, 34.2%. Teams are shooting 33.9% against them. You're connecting on almost, or just a little bit more than 79% of your free throws. They are connecting on 77, but they're attempting 25 free throws per game. You're attempting 17. So they're getting a lot of points at the line. They're getting a lot of fouls, a lot of contact. Very aggressive there in the paint. Rebounds, they hold about a 1 rebound per game advantage over you, 38.7 to your 37.8. But teams are getting a lot of rebounds against UCF, 36, while teams are only rebounding 30 against you. They turn the ball over more than you do, 12.5 per game. You're at 10.9. and they force a little bit more than half more turnovers. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
They're
no.
forcing almost 15 turnovers per game. You're forcing just over 14. 14.2, 14.8. It is the numbers I read early on for UCF offense scoring numbers was actually the projection from Haslametrics. This is a projected win for Texas Tech, 82-67. They are scoring about 81 while giving up 74. So, it then will get much more difficult. If you do get this one, you do play well at home. You are hoping to have Federico and JT Toppin back, assuming nothing weird has happened off the court and it was just some health issue and all that's been cleared up. Cambridge, I don't know. Have you heard any updates on him? Is he still part of the team?
I don't know. I have heard nothing.
Not that he's like,
he's
your
not going to be
fifth
coming
starter or your
he's
number
not going to
6
be playing, I don't think, in any capacity for Tech again, but
Okay.
he could be around.
Well, if he's not going to play, then I that's fine. But then you go on the road to take on Utah and then BYU on Saturday and then Tuesday of next week. I would assume you just stay up in Utah for that road trip. 8-3 Utah, 9-2 BYU. 6 p.m. tip on Saturday, 8 p.m. tip on Tuesday. Narrow margins projected for you to win both of those games. Up in Utah, 79-74 versus Utah, 78-75 versus BYU. I would assume the BYU schemes are still fairly similar, but they've actually changed coaches since then, so maybe not. I know they've been killing it on the recruiting trail. They supposedly just paid handsomely for a high-end recruit, showing their commitment to their basketball program, BYU. Great opportunities to bulk up your resume here because you are still 0-2 in quad 1 and quad 2 games.
Yes, and the thing that sticks out to me with the stats on these two teams, one, Utah, kind of like UCF, they get to the line a lot more than Tech does, getting 22 free throws per game versus 17. So much with UCF, I'd expect them to be a little bit more aggressive going to the rack, but I
They're
think
not
what
great
sticks
shooters,
out,
though.
no, but rebounds,
At the
Spencer,
line.
that's where I'm getting.
Oh, yes, almost 42 rebounds per game for Utah.
And the discrepancy is pretty insane. So like Utah's getting 42 rebounds, 41.7 rebounds per game and allowing 34. So that's a 8 rebound discrepancy, which is kind of what Tech's doing, but Tech's is a lot smaller numbers. Now what BYU is doing though is just absolutely dominating the class. They're getting 42.2 rebounds per game and the opponents are only getting 29. That's a heck of a discrepancy. So you got to bring your A game. Make sure you've got your good shoes on when you head up to Provo, and be sure you can shine some glass because man, otherwise they're just going to out rebound you out of that gym. Goodness gracious, that's a heck of a discrepancy. That's almost 14 rebound discrepancy.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're not shooting lights out.
Well, they're not shooting out
badly.
from the free throw line. Offensively,
yeah. Gotcha.
Offensively, Utah is shooting from the field 49%. BYU 48.6%. I mean, it's up there,
which is great. Yeah, I mean, it's just Tech shooting 51.7s right now, so that it doesn't impress me as much. And I know that 51.7 is definitely going to come down. It has to. But it is just one of those things where you look at it and you go, oh, you're only shooting 49%.
We're shooting 40%.
I wouldn't know how that feels. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you shoot with your eyes closed or what? What's going on over there?
Are you aiming at the rim?
Yeah, it's not that hard. Have you tried practice?
Have
you tried
aiming?
practice? But anyway,
So
yeah, those are what sticks out to me. Just please rebound and try not to let Utah just shoot a ton of free throws.
Yeah, and then after that, which we'll go more into the preview next week. But after BYU, you're at Iowa State. You have 3 road games in a row, but at Utah, at BYU is kind of one trip, but 2 games up there. Come back home to then go up to Hilton and face what is now a top 3 team. Who knows what they'll be, in 2 weeks, but I mean, it could be 2. It could be 1.
If you guys want to do some prep, so tomorrow during Tech's game, West Virginia plays at Kansas, but Utah, Tech's next opponent after UCF, plays at Baylor at 1 p.m. So maybe if you're home, you've got the YouTube, you've got the ESPN app on your Xbox, you can watch 2 games at once and do some scouting against Utah, and then do the same thing against BYU as they host Arizona State at 3 on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Quick rankings update. Hazometrics has you at 11, moved you up from 12. KenPom, same thing, moved you up 1 spot from 13 to 12. BPI has you up from 18 to 15. T rank at 11. Net ranking at 17. All right. Let's wrap this up, Michael, with what did we learn?
Let's do it.
And then get you on to New Year's Eve, man.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know either.
I don't know either. This is an old man take. We have a neighborhood, a block, let's just say our street has several families with kids about Grayson's age. Grayson's actually the oldest of this little group, but they like to come over and invite Grayson to go out and play with them. The problem is, like, even I think Grayson knows better, but I can't say it 100%. They have yet to learn the etiquette of how to use a doorbell.
No.
Or when they come over and say, "Hey, is Grayson available to play?" It's like, "Oh, you know what? He can't today. Thanks for inviting him. Like, try again tomorrow."
Yeah.
To then come back 30 minutes later and ask me again, I was like, "Nothing's changed. He can't come out today. We're working on the house." So this is okay. For example, Saturday, we got it. We were in the mood. We were motivated. We were taking down Christmas decorations. I was out in the front. We'd already told this kid across the street, "Hey, he's not available because he's helping us work around the house." So I go back inside, work on the house. Hour or so later, I'm outside taking down the lights off the house, and he comes up. He's like, "Hey, can Grayson play?" He's like, "Nope, still can't play. Still working on the house." He's like, "Well, when can he?" I was like, "Not today."
Oh my gosh.
Like we said this already because like we were then rushing out to go to a family birthday party. So I was like, I don't want to explain this to a 7-year-old. And you know that Grayson's not 7. But like, so there's
the
that.
thing is, here's my schedule. Let me share my Google Calendar with you, kid.
He comes over probably every day. It's like, dude, just get back in school. I can't wait for you to get back in school. He came over today. Today probably wouldn't have been a bad day, but I was just not like, he's helping me watch the littles while I'm doing other things around the house. Like Grayson was available, but I was using him. So I said, and he's still like, he's had a cough, asthma related cough. And like, it's like, I want to get that straightened out. I don't want him overexerting himself and this progressing into full blown pneumonia or whatever, which has happened when the weather changes and he airway's a little bit more reactive and he's a little bit whatever. It's like, no.
Well, then you get a day like today with a fire warning because it was so windy and dry and
yucky. Yeah. He's like, no, he's not coming out today. But then one of his other friends from up the street comes over. So the guy across the street and this girl from a couple houses down will come over together and ask, hey, can Grayson come play? They came up one at a time today, which is okay. They didn't coordinate. They're 5 and 6, 7, whatever. Okay, so I'm in the front room, the office. It's like right around the corner from the front door. The girl comes up, rings the doorbell twice in a row, ding, 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 and immediately is knocking. So like the chime hasn't even finished ringing and she's knocking. I was like, I get up and she hits the doorbell again. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm not like super proud of this, Michael. I opened the door.
Oh no.
I didn't give her a chance to like ask me. I was like, no, he can't come out today. You rang my doorbell. Like you only need to ring my doorbell once. Knock it off. And I closed the door. So I answered the question. I knew she was there to ask. But I'll say like, you got to chill on the doorbell. I could have handled that much better.
A little bit, but it had
But also
been building.
like I was so frustrated with this.
It had been building. It was bad luck that she drew that time to not only just ring your doorbell at all, but to ring it 7 times or whatever it was.
Yeah. So, what about you? What did you learn?
I don't think, man, I was trying to think of something I learned. It's really good. I learned I really don't like fees in buying tickets. That happened again. So
I had that experience, which I think I share with you and everybody. So,
well, my wife and I are going to the UCF game, so we're going to be there tomorrow. And we just needed 2 tickets. I went to Texas Tech's website, and it was $40 or $32 a ticket to buy something in the very top. And I was like,
ridiculous.
if I'm paying that much, let me go to SeatGeek. So I went to SeatGeek and I found some tickets for $42 that were actually in the lower bowl. And of course, that $42 turned into $63 a piece by the time they added $20.75 per ticket. Just because they can. And so yeah, all of a sudden, this little outing where I was like, oh man, we're gonna get there for $80-$90. That'll be great. Yeah, $130 in the door for 2 adults to go see Texas Tech play UCF.
And that's before you get
at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's before you get the popcorn and Coke or pretzel or whatever it is that y'all like to get. Because like,
well, it's lunchtime. We've got to do something because I'm working half a day, and so it's like, well, she's going to come pick me up, and we're going to run up there, and because when we go to the Lady Raider games, we do that. We plan it out. We know that we're going to spend how much at the game tonight. You know, if the 3 of us can eat and have a drink or something for $30, which we have done a few times, we feel pretty good about it. We're like, man,
which is
we kicked its butt today. You know, we each, like my wife and I will get a hot dog. Yeah, my wife and I will get a hot dog and a drink, and we'll split nachos, and our daughter will get something. And you're like, $28.75? No, that was yes.
Because okay,
when $38.75 the next week. Oh crap. Okay, what do we do this time?
When we went to the game last week, whatever it was, we got a large soda, a small soda, and a large popcorn. Michael, how much did we spend?
Okay. Let's see.
2 sodas.
5, 6, 7, 8. You spend at least 17 or 18.
$22.50.
I think I must underestimate. Oh no, sodas are like $7 or $8, aren't they?
It had to be. He didn't tell me the prices. They're not on the board. Convenient. Didn't tell me my total. Didn't give me a receipt. I got the notification from Capital One. oh, you were charged for $22.50 at Texas Tech was approved. It's like $23 for 2 sodas and popcorn, which was gone like that. Yeah, and that was on top of a
Excuse me.
$2 ticket that ended up costing us like $18 a piece to get into this game.
Yeah, I thought, well, I've got season tickets to the Lady Raiders. It's great.
You should get a break on the men's tickets for that, I swear.
I kind of feel that way too, but it's just gonna hack me off. I just know it. I can't help it that I'm gonna be sitting up in row 25 or whatever, just a few rows in front of the suites, and there's gonna be 300 empty seats in front of me. I'm just like, why can't I sit there? Why can't I sit there? Why can't I? None of these were available. Why weren't any of these available? Why does any of this make sense?
Well, the season ticket holder didn't sell that ticket, Michael.
Why in the heck would Texas Tech think I would pay $40 to sit in the back row of section 232? I'm not going to do it. 2? Yeah. 2 with some fees? I think I would have made it work. 40? Get out of town. No.
I don't know if I'll be able to find this really quickly, but I want to see what I paid for our tickets when we went to the Kentucky game. Because Samantha and I paid for those tickets.
Yeah, and for the men's games, this is probably the only one we'll get to go to. We might try to make it to another one, just kind of see where things are. So I thought if this is the only one I'm going to go to, and it's just the 2 of us, it's not 3 of us, and because then price just balloons and balloons. I thought if it's just the 2 of us, we'll get in the lower bowl. But it just still surprises me every time.
Yeah, I don't know where we got our tickets. Pretty sure we bought them, that we weren't given them. They weren't given to us, but they're just not in my email.
I actually, another good reason to join the Discord and talk with the Gouches about that. But if you join the Discord, I shot out a text to people because I knew that they started making you pay for parking. And I should have just texted you. I forgot y'all just went. But I knew they talked about making you pay for parking, even for satellite parking, via an app for all the men's games.
Is it the same? It's probably the same one that they do for football.
Yes.
But you're paying for the.
No, you can't pre-buy it. Like with football, you can at least get that tag and just roll through.
No, but I mean, so when we parked at UMC and rode the shuttle over, they wanted to have us have tickets on our phone for the shuttle.
For the shuttle, yes. But I thought this was, I think this was for parking. This was to park. Now, I don't know, maybe in addition to shuttle. I remember that being announced, and then someone in the Discord said, yeah, so many people complained they quit doing that. That didn't last very long. I thought, well, good. Especially if I can't just whip out $10 and be like, okay, fine, let me. Having to do that for the city shuttle is a pain enough. I have this app on my phone I use 3 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
No, not 3 times a year. Once a year. When we get the family or when we try to go to a football game. And it's just so that I can, which it went up for years. I don't know how many years it was $5 to ride that shuttle. And then the year after they make you switch to the app, it's now $6. Goodness gracious. Anyway, that's my old man yells at cloud thing. I bought tickets this week. And I learned that they add fees no matter what.
I know I'm not going to find it. Oh, I have a big gap between my United Airlines boarding pass of April 2019 to Red River Baseball 2021. This game was in January of 2020.
Ah, okay.
So I didn't have it on my phone. Not funny.
Well, even if you did, you wouldn't have the ticket of or the price of it.
No,
right?
but I was trying to figure out like where I bought it from.
Oh, I see. Might have been Vivid Seats back then.
I don't know. Hashtag Biden's America. 2 more days, brother. I don't even know. 2 more days until 2025. That's not when he's inaugurated in. You got any New Year's plans? Speaking of Michael, not speaking of Biden. Speaking of 2 more days till 2025.
Yeah, I was going to talk about my
1 more
political
day.
affiliations. No, of New Year's plans. All I have going. We have a New Year's Eve party with some other families from our church and stuff. So kids will be there and everything. But what I enjoy about it, they've done this a few years. This is their first year we'll be able to go. But apparently they do like a fake ball drop at like 7:30. Do the countdown, do the whole thing, and then everyone goes home. Like that sounds great. So that's my plan. I'm hoping to have like some a nice non-alcoholic champipple around the kids or something, and then we'll have a I don't know. It was from Sanford and Son. That's what he called the drink. But it will go to hopefully be home by 8:30, and then I'll get to do the thing that I really like to do, which is start the album version of Freebird at 11:55 p.m. and 5 seconds, to where the second that ball drops is when the solo hits.
Okay, hold on. I have to set a note for myself, an alarm.
Do it. I share this every year. I share it every year. It's worth repeating. It's so fun.
If it needs to start at 11:55, I probably need to pull it up at like 11:50.
Yeah, you got to be prepped.
Because I got to find the song. I want to repeat. This will be Wednesday.
Yeah, 11:55 and 5 seconds to be really exact.
Start. You said album version?
Yes, not the live version.
Freebird at 11:55:05.
And shout out to Spencer. Oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name. Spencer Hall, for introducing that to me years ago on Twitter. It's a blast. There was one year I remember our whole house was sick, and I still, our little one's never made it to New Year's. Maybe she will this year. We'll see. But our whole house was sick, and I purposefully was like, well, I've got to take a Robitussin before I go to bed. So I might as well take it at midnight. And so I poured myself a nice shot of Robitussin and started Freebird on my headphones and was just blaring it. And then as the ball dropped, I took some Robitussin, let Freebird play out, let the whole song play out, and then went to bed. I think that was a good year. I don't know. Kind of started off weird.
So that was your midnight toast?
Yeah.
Robitussin?
That year, it was, yes.
All right.
Could be again this year. Who knows?
We have, as we have in the past few years, New Year's at my in-laws' house, we do finger foods and stuff. My wife has instituted this family talent show.
Oh, that's right.
Pass the time. We did it last year at our church building because we had we had a big stage and sorry, that sounds weird. The gym has a platform that you could get on and like whatever. We had space enough for all of us to be there together. And then have the semblance of a performance, going up on stage. But a little bit lower key this year. Going to be at my in-laws' house. We're going to start like 6, and then they said, hey, no pressure. Like if you want to do a talent show performance, like you can record it. We can just show a video, so you don't have to worry about like trying to play it over screaming kids. You can watch it whenever you want to, blah, blah, blah. And then once we're done with that, we're done with dinner. We'll just like play games until, whenever you want to go, you can go. You can stay for 11 p.m. You can stay for midnight. I know from years past, like 10, 15, it's like, oh my gosh. I'm so over this. We have 2 hours to go. Samantha is like diehard. Like she has to do ball, Central Time, midnight, toast, kiss, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I'm here to support that.
I think since I've known my wife, she has been awake once for New Year's.
Yeah. There's nothing going
maybe
on.
twice. Maybe twice. And I think that was because we forced ourselves to go out. Okay, more than that. Because we have forced ourselves to go out a few times. But if we're not out or we don't have like any big plan, zero chance. I will see her I will see her next year.
See you never. Yeah, and then we gotta drive home. Not that we're going very far. I mean, they live at like university just inside the loop.
Mm-hmm.
But
Get to
we
see
have
the
to make-
fireworks when you drive home. That's fun.
Well, Michael, you know this because you live in you live in the country.
Sure.
We live far enough removed from the city of Lubbock that our neighborhoods turn into World War III with their firework displays.
I can
which
see
for
the city
us-
limits from here, which people just assume means that we are in the backwoods of Appalachia. Do whatever we want.
Yeah.
We're in the holler.
The day they went on sale, we've had fireworks each night. And of course, like you get all the Karens in the face. Was that a gunshot?
Oh gosh. Get over yourselves.
No, if you actually went outside and saw it, like you'd know that was not a gunshot.
Yeah.
You may hear some gunshots, but no, it's fireworks, and we've got them every night. I probably missed a few tonight.
This is my fireworks song.
Anyways, I think that'll do it for us. The 23 Personal Podcast, getting you ready for New Year's college football quarterfinals playoff, UCF, beginning of Big 12 basketball play, Texas Tech football season, signed, sealed, delivered. We're done with that. Catch you on the flippity flip. Michael, we'll talk about your New Year's resolutions next time and how I can help support you on that. What I can do for you as a friend. But that'll do it for us. 23 personnel for 2024. For Michael and Spencer. Catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.
All right. I don't know how.